This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Valeria interviews Andy Marmion, the author of Your Angel's Healing Words to Guide, a spiritual life book of meditation and awakening. This spiritual angel work is comprised of some of the verses from Andy's own card deck. These angel prayers will act as an angel detox for our soul and work angel miracles in our lives so that we experience heaven on earth. The power of angels is amazing, and they can help us raise our spiritual vibration or frequency through the use of their words. Andy Marmion is a psychiatric nurse of 30 years of experience. He's also an angel coach and content marketer. As an angel coach, he helps people connect with their guardian angels so as they find self-empowerment and healing. One of the ways the angels help is by addressing negative thought patterns and substituting them for a healthy way of thinking. Andy has also written another book, Angelic Thinking: Your Angels Help with Positive Thinking. To learn more about Andy and his work, please visit wisewriting.org. Here is the interview with Andy Marmion.
In your own words, who is Andrew Marmion?
Andrew Marmion is a loving, compassionate man who has suffered much in life, but has used that suffering to transform and change and to help others do the same.
That sounds wonderful, that transformation. So before we talk about some of the topics in your book, Your Angel's Healing Words to Guide, a spiritual life book of meditation and awakening, I have a few warm-up questions, as I mentioned, off record. The first one is, what is life to you, Andrew?
Life is an interesting question. I suppose, to me, life is about service. The angels told me in the past, it's being love in the heart of the world or in the heart of society. So for me, it's to be of service, because especially in today's world, there's so much uncertainty and pain and confusion, and people feel lost a lot of the time. Even a basic sense of identity, a lot of people don't seem to have. So to me, it's about being a light to them, to help them bring a sense of self, a sense of identity, and healing, whatever healing they might need along the way. And I would describe myself as an angel coach. That's the way that they kind of work with me.
And I'll be asking you that question in a minute. What is to be an angel coach? I love that term. So my next follow-up question regarding life is, what do you think is the opposite of life?
The opposite of life, a slow strangulation is the way that I would put it. It's like life being squeezed out of us, whether it's from the way that we've been treated, or maybe we've not been strong enough to offset that. I also think, our upbringing obviously has something to do with the kind of person that we are when we grow up. So if we don't grow up with those tools that we need, we allow others to affect us. If we're not very good at affirming ourselves and our own beliefs, then we're open to assault, basically. And all of us, I mean, it's not some of us are, it's not that anybody's better than the other. It's just that those weaknesses can be exploited.
Yeah, I agree. And healed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it can be healed. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And my other question about life is, what is the ultimate, if there is, ultimate purpose of this human experience?
I think it depends on people's take. Everybody has a different take on it. For example, people will believe in like reincarnation. I don't tend to believe in that. But what I would say is I would agree with the concept around life lessons. We're here to learn, and we're here to grow, and we're here to experience life that we're going to experience in the afterlife. It begins here and now. And when we have a relationship with the other side, it's drawing us forward, it's drawing us on. That transformation, it's preparing us, that this life is preparing us for that. And that, to me, that's why service is so important, because that's a big part of it. It's how I treat others. We're not meant to travel there alone. We're to help each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Yes, and yes. Let me ask you this question. What is your understanding and idea of awakening?
A spiritual awakening.
Yeah, spiritual awakening. Yeah.
Spiritual awakening, I believe, is recognising who I am in the eyes of God, that I'm a child of God, and what my identity is as a child of God, or a child of the universe. It's recognising that, and as I recognising that, I'm learning to stand in that identity and accepting what healing, being open to healing and accepting that healing as it comes along. Because again, it's about growth, and it's what I call standing erect, moving from this bent, kind of crippled kind of stance to standing erect, because we've not to be timid as children of God. We've to stand strong in that identity, because it's God-given. So if we stand firm in that identity, we can overcome anything.
When you speak of healing and growth as a purpose, or might be a way of living more peaceful and happier life, I wonder if you believe in a destination and the idea of being healed, getting there.
Yeah, well, it's a process, because we can be being healed in several different ways, several different areas of our life simultaneously, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And one it depends on the individual. It depends what it is that's in need of being healed. But one big thing for me is changing negative thought patterns, changing a negative kind of belief system, and it's actually a lot easier to do than what people think.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's answered your question.
Yes, it did, and I love the way you said about that's easier than most of us think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Let's explore that in a moment. Angels. What are angels?
Angels are spirits. The angels were the first of God's creation, and it took place, obviously, in the spiritual realm. So we are obviously not privy to that. We're living a physical existence. We're limited by time and space, but angels aren't. So they're spiritual beings that were created by God, and there are countless numbers of them. And they all have their own personality. They all have their own function. It's very orderly, the way that they're kind of ordered. Like different people would class it differently. I would tend to stick with the traditional one of the nine choirs of angels. I think it's very well explained. Anything I've ever read on it is very well explained, because it links towards the angels that are the closest to God, like in God's presence, the Holy of Holies, like the cherubs, the seraphim, and the thrones, and then each succeeding choir, it's like they descend towards us. So it's like they're going from heaven into like space, where it's the other planets, the stars, and so forth. So there'll be angels guiding that part of the realm, as it were, and then other angels that are nearer us, the angels that we would tend to experience more. Like, you wouldn't tend to hear people talking about experiencing a cherubim or a throne, but you will hear them saying they've experienced their guardian angel, or maybe even an archangel. So to me, the angels and angels are messengers. The name itself is messengers. And they would be here for a purpose. One thing I don't like that I see a lot of, it's like angels are at our beck and call, and it's not true. Angels are with us all the time. They're protecting us, they're guiding us, enlightening us, guarding us, all that kind of thing. But they operate in conjunction with God's will. So they're not here to entertain us. It's, obviously there is that kind of fun element that they do have that will come through sometimes. Like they play with my hair sometimes, they'll do things like that, or they'll scratch me in the back, this kind of thing, to get my attention and just to say, hiya, I'm here, let's play.
That's cute.
Yeah. So there is that element there, but it's to keep it in context.
Now a lot of questions came to mind. Before I ask you more questions even about angels, because I really wanted to ask these questions. Before that, you mentioned God. I have to ask you this question regarding God. What, who, and where is God to you?
Well, God to me would be the Blessed Trinity. I would be more along the lines of the Judeo-Christian tradition. I suppose I'm a bit of a rebel in a way that I was Catholic in my upbringing, but I kind of moved away from the Catholics. Not that I stopped believing or anything like that. I was just very disturbed by a lot of the things that I saw going on in the church. But I would still hold to a lot of like the spirituality, the angels, the saints, Our Lady, all this kind of thing. But so I suppose, to answer your question, God to me would be the Blessed Trinity. God would be there to love us, heal us, and again, it's about life's lessons. We're here to learn. We're here to grow into who God intended us to be, and that's what's to guiding us home. And the angels help us towards that. They'll remind us of things if we forget them. They'll put things in our minds to maybe to help us make better or healthier decisions. That will help us reach that goal, heaven. Try to think of what else maybe. Has that kind of answered your question, or of a?
Yes, yeah. I guess I'm still curious about where God is.
Oh, where God is. Well, God is in the spiritual realm. And what is the spiritual realm? To me, I suppose traditionally people have talked about heaven up there, hell down there, blah, blah, blah. We are kind of in the middle or whatever. I don't see it that way. I see it more as heaven is beyond us. It exists with us. It's here and it's around us. And it's kind of like we can't see it because we're limited to time and space. But when it comes our time to actually pass away, to move on, it's just like we're watching a film. It just kind of fades. And then we see ultimate reality in front of us. It's then that we see God, and it can be quite a shock to the system because we're moving away from a physical, limited kind of way. It's a bit like sitting in front of a lamp reading a book, and you're trying to squint and try to read it properly. It's only a 40-watt bulb or whatever, and then somebody comes in and throws on floodlights, and you still can't read the book. But it's not because you don't have enough light. It's the opposite. You're blinded by the light.
What a beautiful analogy. Yes. So I love that, this idea that what you mentioned earlier, more specifically, that God, heaven, it's here now, but we cannot access it because we're limited by time and space.
Yeah.
But perhaps we can access, in a sense of a state of being, inner peace. We access it with our minds, with our souls, with the heart, perhaps.
Yeah, well, that's why I think mindfulness is a great practice, because God is like the eternal now. And that's why I think I would use mindfulness as part of my spirituality leading into meditation. I do what's called practice the presence of God. That's what I call it. And I use mindfulness to help me with that, practicing the eternal now.
So let me go back to the angels topic. Let me see. The question I have here is, can we be guided and protected by more than one angel?
Yes. Traditionally, the way people talk about angels, it's like you have one guardian angel that comes with you when you come into this world, and they're with you throughout life. And then when you pass on, they go with you. They take you home to heaven, and your best buddies and blah blah blah. But in actual fact, it's deeper than that. Before we're actually born or even conceived, God has in mind, right, okay, and this is out of obviously trillions and trillions of angels, but God's so intelligent, he'll just say okay, there's Jimmy over there, he'll be an excellent angel for this lad that's about to be born. And, the angel, so automatically God will say to the angel, how would you like to be this man's or woman's guardian angel? And the angels get excited at that because, again, the thing I love about the angels is we are called to be like them as well, because they're delighted to serve. They love God so much that being asked is like an honour to be asked by God to do something. So, to me, again, service is reflecting part of what they're about. But anyway, to get back to the guardian angels, so that angel will accompany the child as the child is actually forming in the womb. The angel is very much with the mother as well as the baby. So in a sense, the baby has two guardian angels, the mother's and their own personal angel. And sometimes you can actually have more than one angel. I call them birth angels or primary angels. You can have more than one. They say that they're like leaders and, like the president in America or whoever would definitely have more than one because they have so much responsibility and there's so much temptation around and whatever, they would certainly have more than one. If somebody's going on to do something very important, I don't know, say somebody like Albert Einstein, is going to be of particular and great use to humanity, it might have more than one. There'll be a reason why we have more than one, I suppose is the best way to put it. And then there's what I call temporary guardian angels that can come in during the course of our lives. And it can be just for a particular period or purpose. So, for example, if I've contracted an illness, God forbid, a healing angel could be assigned. My guardian angel might say, well, I'm going to need a bit of help, and would ask God, or God could foresee this anyway and just send the angel. So you would have a healing angel that would be helping the guardian angel. Then other things like relationship problems or romance angels, if somebody's lonely and is looking for a partner in life. Other things like angels of reconciliation. I love angels of reconciliation. They're fantastic. I can actually tell you a story about that, but I don't want to deviate from. But will I tell you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I suppose this is an example of a temporary guardian angel that was with me. I was being asked to hold an angel party, and basically what an angel party is instead of sitting doing angel work, whether it's reading or healing or whatever, with one individual, you're doing it with several people. So there's like a meeting, you might do a bit of a meditation with them to begin with, a couple of party games like pass the parcel, that kind of thing with the angels. So there might be a wee gift of an angel inside or something. And in between times, you'll be doing people's readings, you'll be doing short readings with them and a bit of healing, that kind of thing. So anyway, I was going up to do this angel party. But before I went up, this angel called, I'm trying to remember his name now, Simon. I think it was Simon Samson, beg your pardon, it was Samson. And he said to me that he was coming with me to the angel party. And I just said, and not a lot of the time, I don't kind of like talk with them. When they talk with me, I used to more often, but as time went on, I didn't, because as you learn as you go along, it's not all about chit-chat and, oh, what did you have for tea? And, oh, it's lovely, and I had steak, what did you have? And blah, blah, blah. Again, they're there for a purpose. So I just, other angels might kind of be more playful, but when to and when not to, I suppose, is the best way to put it. So anyway, he said to me, well, actually, you're going to need my help this evening. He said, I'm an angel of reconciliation. And I said, okay. I said, right, that's fine. So I just automatically trust them. I've had enough experiences with them to just trust them. So when I got to the angel party, I just announced to the people, I said, just so as you know, there's a particular angel has come with me. He's called Samson, and he's an angel of reconciliation. He helps people to forgive and to be reconciled. And just all of them, to a person there, sat there with their mouths open and looked at me. And I said, what is it? What's going on? And the majority of the people that were there were from two different families. And they had fallen out years ago and hadn't been speaking to each other for years. And the reason why they were having the angel party was to help them heal their relationship. And it was a tremendous experience. It was a very special experience. There was a lot of healing for them that night. Yeah, so that's a good example of an angel that can come in a particular situation as a to help the guardian angel. Or so you would have had all those people's guardian angels there anyway, as well as my own. But you would have had that angel that was particularly assigned by God, like, this is what's going to kind of bring it all together. This angel's going to work with other angels and have additional knowledge and understanding in what to do. So that's the way that I understand it.
Very much makes sense. To me, the way I see it, it's almost that's not different from the humans' world, where we help one another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's very similar.
The difference, though, Valeria, is the angels have humility, and the angels have no problem asking each other for help, but we do. That's what I think that where the difference lies. For whatever reasons, there's obviously different reasons, but they don't have that blockage at all.
Right. Oh, so they're obviously more open because they understand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different level of understanding life and everything else in between.
Absolutely. It's a topic in itself.
Yeah, yes. I have to ask you this question. How did you discover the existence of angels?
Well, I always believed in them as a child. I must have been about 7 or 8. And it was actually my grandmother on my mother's side, grandmother Toner, that taught me the angel prayer. I don't know if you know it's an old Catholic one. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this night be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. That was the kind of little prayer that you would teach children around their guardian angels. So I always had a sense of angels. I was always fascinated by them, and I suppose partly because I was always interested in the supernatural anyway. But just on and off as I would go through life, sometimes I would read about them or whatever, but they were never central to my spirituality, I suppose you could say. It wasn't until about, 7 or 8 years ago, what happened was I suffered from depression, and I actually had it as a teenager because I come from an abusive background. So as I was growing up, I would have bouts of depression, but I didn't recognise it as depression. It kind of became normal to me, if you understand me.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was going through life, even though I became a psychiatric nurse, you would find that strange. You would think, as a psychiatric nurse, for goodness sake, you should understand that you're depressed. You can see it in patients. Why couldn't I see it in myself?
It's true.
But it was so normal to me. This was normal. This was, this is just the way it is. This is life, blah, de blah. But when I went through several episodes of it where I would end up, it got quite severe where I'd be off sick for months at a time, maybe even a year, and I'd have to give up jobs because of it. And then the last time that it happened, it was so bad and I was suicidal on and off, and I even had ideas of how I was going to end my life. The thinking was very morbid, and I recognised then in particular that I really need help with this. And a friend of mine, strangest woman that you could ever meet, but a lovely soul,
Yeah.
did me a great favour, I have to say now, because she said to me, Andrew, have you ever heard of the novena of the 7 archangels? And I said, no, I haven't heard of that. She said, well, I want you to do it. She says, I think you'll really benefit from it. And I said, well, okay, I'll do it. And I was in such need at the time. I followed everything she said to the letter. I didn't leave anything out. And on the second day of the novena, the very second day, I remember waking up in the morning and I felt very strange, is the only way that I can put it. And the reason I felt so strange was because the depression was gone. And I hadn't been without depressions for, you're talking about maybe 30 years, would you call it? So to me, initially, it felt very strange. What's this? And, and I was married at the time, and I said to my wife, and she says, Andrew, that means you're happy. Well, is that what that is?
Right.
And it was amazing, and it was gone. It was just gone. And they taught me so much, and I started to understand that obviously we can all have periods when we get down, and we can all, we're only human, of course, sometimes we get upset or we can get down, and I still can myself. But I was able to tell the difference as I went along. I was able to tell the difference, and a lot of it for me was around self-pity, playing the victim, being the martyr, all this kind of thing. And it was all to do with my abusive upbringing. That's where it was kind of linked to. So they've helped me through the years with that as well, but it doesn't have that same power over me. Don't get me wrong, I still have my trials, but they've given me a lot of healing and a lot of kind of understanding around that kind of thinking process. And I'll give you one example of it because it's quite funny, because I'd have food issues. I'm still not quite over that yet. I would still have the food issues. And this shows you the sense of humour they have. They would say to me, now, it's a bit like this, Andrew, you're getting all your other people's thinking and what's going on with them mixed up with your own thought processes, and it's all getting cross-wired, and then you're feeling sorry for yourself, blah, blah, blah. This is the way that we want you to think about it. Think of it as spaghetti. Think of it as their thoughts and your thoughts and emotions and whatever is all mixed up into a big clump of spaghetti. And you've got to separate the two. And they gave me this thing about how to use my hands to separate the two. And I would have to say, and it worked. This was the amazing thing. It works.
Makes sense.
And I would kind of push away with my hand, your spaghetti, like I was dividing a dinner. That's their portion. Your spaghetti. And then I would tap my heart with my other hand. My spaghetti, your spaghetti, my spaghetti. And then after a while that I was doing this, and I found it great, it suddenly dawned on me, oh, you rotters, use spaghetti deliberately because I've got food issues.
That is so wonderful. What an amazing story.
Oh, they have a great sense of humour.
Definitely understand that. That makes sense. But that's interesting. Like in my case, I call it intuition, or that voice when I hear all these inspirational stuff and funny stuff it's highly spiritual. I think, oh, that's interesting. That's my intuition. So we can have different names, actually, right? angel for angels.
You can, and yeah, because even that kind of thing, like the way that they would communicate with me through intuition, because people will say like psychics, but what is being a psychic? Well, it's just basically, to me, it's like a heightened intuition. It's like learning a deeper way of being able to relate to reality and using that. And to me, the angels touch the intuition. It's like they inform you. They'll put, like the way that they explained it to me is like we can put knowledge in your head. An example would be when a spirit walked through me one time, they can do the same. When a spirit walked through me one time, it literally was just like 2 or 3 seconds, and I was kind of a bit mildly traumatized. But the knowledge that the spirit gave me was immense. They had killed themselves. It was by drowning. It was in a lake. It wasn't in the sea or a river. It was in a lake. I knew their age. I knew it was a man. It was about 18 or 19, and I knew what I had to say to the family. I was to go to the it was actually during an angel card reading, actually, that to say to the friend that was there and what she was to tell the family. So I just from 1 or 2 seconds walking through me, it was just put into my head what to do, what to say, and and I got the understanding that I gained of it. And it's the same with the angels. They'll just put stuff into your head and gain an understanding.
Yeah. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
They're actually, when we have these elevated, loving thoughts, that's coming from that place. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, I believe that too.
And they'll do it with emotions as well. Like I I know through feeling. I can get information through feeling. That's the main 2 ways that I get it. Sometimes it's hearing, like a voice inside of me, like a bit like the way that our own voice, internal voice, it's a bit like that. I don't tend to see them very often. I do the odd time, but not very often. But to me, as time's gone on, none of that really matters. To me, it's knowing that they're there. It's having this deep knowing. And again, you can use mindfulness with this acceptance that they're there, understanding that they're there, so that if you don't have any of those experiences, you can still have this deep sense of acceptance and awareness that they're there.
They communicate in different ways. You mentioned earlier too, even touch, you feel something in your body.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So there are many ways that they communicate.
Absolutely. And you can get an understanding of their personality as well through the way that they relate to you. Like one of my angels is a warrior angel called Samuel, and he's kind of like a gruff old veteran soldier. That's the way I would kind of describe him. And sometimes what he'll do to wake me up in the morning, he pulls my ankle. He doesn't tap me in the shoulder and go, hiya, time to get up, or whatever, the way another angel might do that. He just grabs my ankle and pulls me and get up. Don't be so lazy, get up. That kind of way, like the way your dad might.
Yeah, that's cute. I like what you said, that it depends on personality. So, because in my case, I would be afraid if they appeared in front of me, or if they pulled me somehow, my body, I would be really afraid. They would appear to you in a way that you would understand and accept them, so that fear would diminish or go away. Yeah, that's the way that they might appear to you as a child, so that you wouldn't feel as threatened. There's so much wisdom.
Yeah, because that's what they do with animals. Animals can see them. So if a dog isn't well, and there's a nature angel or a healing angel comes to help that animal, they might be the size of like a little pixie to the dog. Because if they were to appear in front of them with all their glory at 12 feet tall, the dog would probably stop.
True. That wouldn't be good. Also, they're very wise. Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom.
Yes.
Man, this conversation is so delightful. Yeah, so why do you think most of us don't believe in angels?
I suppose we're living in an age where, it's a very scientific world, technology, and, the intellect plays a big part in society now, about learning, and how you learn is through what you read, what you choose to, and we're very much kind of like me orientated as well, me. I think the pace of life as well, we don't have time we don't even value spirituality, a lot of us, let alone angels, because spirituality, a lot of the growth and the way that we relate to that and grow in that is through silence, is through peace and quiet, or being with nature. And people are living such a frenetic pace of life, they don't have time to listen. You'll even hear people say things now like, oh no, I've always got to have the radio on or the television on, I can't stand silence. I mean, getting to that stage, I think, is quite sad. If you can't sit with your own thoughts, and, there's something wrong. And I think another thing as well, Valeria, is how can I put it? A lot of it is kind of like we have to see to believe. You'll even see that in some spiritual writings, like even in the Gospels, the Pharisees or the Sadducees or whatever, they would be demanding miracles from Jesus.
Yeah,
and they're supposed to be the spiritual leaders. They're supposed to be the ones that are supposed to be a great example to the people. And we have this spirituality, we have this and we have that. But they would demand these miracles. I think we have to have a simple heart, and I mean that in the best sense of the word, a simple, uncluttered heart. And to be able to be more open to spiritual possibilities and things that go on around us, and if we're open to that, it's kind of like our spiritual ears are open to that deeper sense of reality, again, that we can't see or experience, and it's raw in the raw because we're limited to time and space, but we have to be open to that.
It doesn't really require a belief to be guided and protected by angels, right? Do we need to believe in them?
Well, no, kind of yes and no. No in the sense that they will do their job. They will protect us. Yes, in the sense that I think we give them additional power, as it were, through, or maybe it might be more a sense of we recognise the need more, so we kind of cooperate more with it. So, for example, I'll give you an example. I was driving home one evening and I was very tired. I was after a 12-hour shift. I was really tired. It had been particularly stressful. And I was coming to the last stretch towards my home, and there was a car in front of me with a trailer, and it had a cement mixer in the back. And as I was driving along, it was taking its time. I was tired. I was like, oh, will it ever hurry up? Oh, I'll just overtake it. So I went to overtake it. And as I was about preparing to do that, now this all happened in like 3 seconds. Obviously the way I'm explaining it, but it happened in literally 2 or 3 seconds. It was like a voice of warning inside of me said, slow down and do not overtake. And I thought it was just my imagination. I was tired and I went to overtake. And again, it was very stern. Slow down and do not overtake. So I slowed down and pulled back from the car. And again, this is happening in a matter of a couple of seconds. And the cement mixer came right off the back of the trailer, bounced on the road. And if I had been overtaking at the time, it would have gone through the windscreen.
So that's how you know. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. So it's that kind of awareness. It's that being open to it and listening. So if you're not praying and you're not meditating and you're not reading, good books that help you with understanding these things, then, chances are you'll remain closed, or at least you'll remain skeptical, or you won't tend to think about it very often. But if you take on a spiritual way of life, it opens you up to all these things, and you hear unclogs. It's like getting your ears syringed.
That's funny. And that's true.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So it is being open, because if we're not open, then we cannot hear the voice. Yeah, we can't.
Exactly.
We cannot see the signs. True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagination. How do we know when we are listening to the voice of the angels or the imagination?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question, because I would have, when I was first experiencing angels, I had that thought myself. Maybe I've just got a very, very good imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I would know because certain things would happen that would kind of agree with what had been said, or like that incident within the car, slow down, don't overtake. And also there's a kind of a sense of, I know that I know it's true. If it's my imagination, it's like you can test it because you can stop it. You can stop that happening in your head. Like if it's your own imagination, or if the phone goes and then you go, oh, well, never mind that, I'll just answer the phone. Well, it's your imagination. If you're that easily distracted from what's going on, and it's testing it as well. Testing it by the fruits you shall know them, is a saying. And I think if you test what you're going through, if you are getting it on a regular basis, I just think you just know. You just know, because if you feel at peace with it, I usually, if I feel at peace with it, then even if it's something that they say that might be challenging, but if you have a sense of, well, that's true, that, and feel at peace about it, even you might feel a little bit put out or disturbed or annoyed or whatever, but if there is that peace there, I'd say you would know that's from the angels, and this sense of knowing that you know. And again, if it marries up with something that's happened or is going to happen, and and once it's happened, you look back and you go, oh yeah, that's what the angels meant by that, or you have that understanding.
Perhaps from my own experience, the way I can tell the difference between imagination and intuition, everything that comes from my intuition, it has to do with love and peace. One of those two feelings arise.
Yes.
And imagination, it could too, but it's more connected to creativity from my experience. It asks me to create. Yeah. So that's the way I know for sure. But
and I think with the imagination as well, it's kind of more short term.
More short term. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's an ending to it, whereas with intuition there isn't.
Oh, and another thing that's so true is that it relates to this realm too, has to do with the human experience when it comes from imagination. I have all these things, ideas and all, but from the intuition, it's always elevated. Everything's elevated to a different realm even that I don't know, the unknown, the mystery.
Yes, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you don't believe in reincarnation. So I'm wondering why.
I used to kind of, I did and I didn't, I suppose, in the past. But it's just that, I suppose, how many life lessons can you learn? Do you know what I mean? If you mean like somebody will say like my first life, it was like 2000 BC, and I'm like, well, this is like 4,000 years. You're telling me in 4,000 years you haven't learned that much? You must be a bit of a dummy.
Oh, I see what you mean. Where you're going with that.
It's that kind of thing. And then also, whenever I talk to people or about if you had, I had a past life regression. I was murdered at the age of 20. I was strangled. Or somebody else will say, I couldn't handle life. I jumped off the bridge. And it's always dramatic.
True.
Nobody ever says, I died peacefully 84 in bed after drinking a hot cup of cocoa.
That's a good point to know. Wow.
And I just think, eternity is so wide and so vast that if we have anything else to learn, we can do it there. Because, I suppose the Catholic idea of purgatory, I would kind of hold to, because it kind of fits in with like ghosts, like if there's ghosts that come back, and like there's a story of St. Teresa of Avila that I love. I think it's a really good one. She was praying in the church one day, and there was this nun in front of her, and she just thought it was one of the other sisters. But the nun started to glow brighter and brighter and brighter, and then eventually just faded. And that she was given to understand that she was finishing the remainder of her purgatory here on earth. So I suppose that's kind of why we have those ideas, because yes, a soul can return to Earth again. It's for a purpose, and it's all that God's in control of all this. It's not that we have a say. You know, some people that believe in reincarnation say it's a bit like we're up in heaven, we get a bit bored, or we're not purified or purged of all these human desires, and we have to go back again. This kind of thing. Well, why would you get into heaven in the first place if you're not purified enough? God is so holy and pure and whatever. To me, you wouldn't go into heaven. That's why I believe in that sense of purgatory. What shape or form that takes, I don't know. I don't claim to know or understand it. Is it more like a waiting room? Is there an element of suffering involved, like we're purified in fire in a crucible, or what? I'm not going to even speculate that. I don't want to know.
You don't even want to know.
Yeah. All I would say is I love God, I love people, I love the angels. I'm doing my best. I believe that I'm heavenward directed, that I'll get there. And if any of this other fluff in between, I'll let God take care of that. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just too busy doing with my own life here without worrying about it.
This is enough, right, Andrew? There's life here, this moment right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's so much here. That's so true.
Yeah, and how could you get bored with eternity? I don't understand that either. You're going to heaven. Oh, my mum and my dad, and maybe your wife or husband, or maybe a deceased brother or whatever. Oh, wow, great! All the neighbours, God, angels. Wow, look at all this fabulous colour, and this is an amazing experience. And then, like 20 years later, which doesn't exist in eternity because there is no such thing as time. I go, I'm a bit bored with this now. I'm sick of seeing your mum and dad. I'm going back.
Wow.
It just doesn't work in my brain, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And I can understand that.
We're all different.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But then everybody's different. Yeah. Because I've said that to a few people and they get quite angry with me.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. We are so unique. You're right. So it's okay to have different perspectives and be where we are, right, Andrew? And experience this life. Exactly.
That's what makes it interesting.
Exactly. I agree. So everything's so wonderful and colorful. All these experiences and perspectives. Yes. The dance. So I have a few more questions for you. I call them final questions, but before that, I have to ask some questions about your book. So what was the intention of writing your book, Your Angels Healing Words to Guide?
Well, the angels gave me these poems. Now, I use the word channeling in the book and the introduction, if I remember right, which isn't strictly true. I would describe it more along the lines of being inspired or just being told what to write. I suppose if there are, I can't remember which ones, but there's about 5 or 6 that I was given. It was more or less they told me, again, this knowledge being put in the head, and I just literally wrote it down. But most of the others, I suppose, would be inspired by them. Obviously, also my own imagination would be involved in that creative process that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
But it would be imbued with spirit. It was imbued with a deep sense of intention so that it could help people. And funnily enough, they would give me like different themes, and some of them were around some of them were around the different kind of angels that they are, like we were talking about angels of reconciliation or healing or whatnot. Well, some of them, like there's in the table of contents, like nature's angels, dancing angels, musical angels, angels of diplomacy, party angels, dream angels, because angels can help with dreams as well, all that kind of thing. So it was the idea of it was to communicate and to share those poems. And the reason that they gave me them was it was actually my own angel card deck. They gave me them for my own angel card deck. And I just thought, I think that would be a great way of sharing it through putting it into a book. So that's what I did, and just to help people to meditate, a way of helping them maybe connect with angels in a very kind of easy, non-threatening way. Yeah.
When I was looking in your book, just going down and just kind of meditating on it, I was attracted to some of them, nature's angels. That one kind of really attracted me for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think it can be for different reasons. It could be maybe what you had been doing that day. Maybe you had been out walking in the forest or gardening that day, or maybe it's to do with a particular need. Maybe you've been too busy and it's maybe the angel, you feel drawn to it because the angels in nature are saying, well, look, you need to relax more, you need to come outdoors, you need to go to the beach, you need to go into the forest and be with nature. Because I have a great affinity with trees. Trees will talk to me if I stay with them long enough. I get messages from them. What do you call it? So, and to me, is it the tree that's giving me the message? I don't know. But if it's not the tree, it's an angel. It'll be a nature angel. It'll be something along those lines, or maybe it's just what you're talking about, that higher kind of way of being that we have, that spiritual sense, and then linking in with the intuition. It just draws out of us what we need for that time. It could be any of those. I'm not always able to tell. I don't claim to be an expert, but it's truth. It's a bit like what we said when we know the angels are speaking to us. It's true. You have that deep sense of peace with it and love, as you quite rightly added, that sense of love, and whether it's kind of catapulting us into action to help others or to do something or to read something or to learn something or whatever, or even just to be, just to sit and be.
That day, it was the nature's angels, but then today it was the goals achieved one. So that also really caught my attention today for some reason. And I went straight to this line that says, choose heart's true desires and you will own your goals.
Yes.
That attracted me, that phrase. And it resonated too, because what I do has a lot to do with the heart's desires. Talk to me about the angel coaching. And you also in your book, We Can Win, painting, personalized message, and also an angel card reading. Talk to me about these.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd actually, that time I told you that I get healed of the depression, and I was all very excited, and angels, everything was about angels, and I couldn't stop talking about angels. People probably thought I'd gone insane. I just was talking to everybody and anybody. I would even stop people in the streets to ask them, do you believe in angels? People thought I was a bit wacky. But anyway, things that settled down. But one of the first ways that they communicated with me and with others through me was by drawing other people's angels or painting them. And it's a bit like doing an angel card reading. I would get a message, or I would be able to tell them things, whether it was about their personality or relationship or whatever was going on at work, that kind of thing. And I'll give you an example. I was asked to draw a child's angel. These parents brought their daughter along and asked if I could draw their angel. Quite a lot of the time, I don't get people's birth angels. It's angels that are there maybe for a particular purpose, like we were talking about earlier. They're just maybe there for a period of time or for a particular purpose. But this was this girl's birth angels. It was definitely her birth angel. As I was getting my equipment ready, my pastels, if I'm drawing, I tend to use pastels, acrylics if I'm painting, but pastels if I draw. So as I was doing that, angel that was with me said to get her to pick the colours. Because sometimes they'll do that, and other times they'll just tell me which colours to use. So the girl, being a girl, she would pick pink and whatever. But then the angel said you have to pick yellow. She said, don't forget yellow. You like yellow when you're using pink. And she said, oh, so I do, she says. And she picked the yellow. And when I started to draw it, your angel says you're a terrible chatterbox. And she said, oh, I am. She said, I talk like my mum's forever telling me that I talk too much and whatever. She says, well, your angel says it can be quite funny a lot of the time, but sometimes you need to learn to listen to mummy and daddy a bit better. She says, I'll do that. I'll try to do that from now on. She says, that's good. So it was little things like that I was telling her as I was drawing the picture. And then after I had drawn the picture and I showed her it, she was really excited because I'm not an artist. I don't claim to. You're not going to get Van Gogh off of me. You know, sometimes I'll look at it when I've drawn it and I'll go, oh God, they're going to hit me.
That's cute.
But any time I've drawn an angel or painted an angel for somebody, it's a wow factor for them. It's like whatever it is about the drawing or the painting, it really means something to them. And this girl was the same. She went, oh, because children are honest. They'll tell you straight to your face. And she's just like, oh, this is lovely. And she said, the wings. That was the main thing about the wings. She said, you drew them out of bubbles. I said, yeah, the angel told me to draw bubbles. I was just doing that the other day, playing bubbles with mummy and daddy and blowing bubbles, and I love blowing bubbles. It's a great thing to blow bubbles. Oh, she was delighted. So it's things like that, and the angel card readings, that all kind of links in with the coaching as well, because I would use those tools in my coaching if it's appropriate. Sometimes if the person asks, or if I feel directed by the angels, or healing as well, angel healing. And angel coaching to me is a bit like life coaching. And as you know, I'm sure, life coaching doesn't have to be just about life. Basically, it can be a particular thing, a person's career, their love life, mental health and well-being, or whatever. It can be any kind of aspect. Angel coaching can cover any of those. But what it basically is that the angels are doing, and in a sense life coaching does that anyway, but the angels are trying to get the person to look at the problem or the issues that they've come to for coaching, to try and look at it and realistically. Not because if you go to a life coach, a life coach is meant to kind of like, it's not meant to be counselling. It's meant to be kind of like you're sitting there and you're kind of bouncing back to them. This is what you're saying. You're giving choices. You're trying to draw out of them whatever. So the angels will kind of do the same, but what they're doing as well is they're challenging the person, and also to let them be aware that they have choices, because a lot of the time, I think when people are looking at their life, it's kind of, they look at it like linearly, like it has to be this straight line. And life's not like that. You know yourself. Life's higgledy-piggledy, left to right. It's a curve, then it's a sharp corner. You're back in the straight again. You're off centre again. You're back again. Because that's how we learn. And we can't learn and grow if we don't make mistakes or these things. But what the angels will be doing is they'll be challenging us along the lines of, right, okay, you had this job, shall we say, if we're talking around a person's career, this is the kind of job that you chose. It wasn't a healthy choice. Too many men in the environment. You've got a very kind of gentle personality, and it didn't mesh well with you. You felt a bit traumatised by the way some of them treated you. You would have been better to be in a kind of a working environment where there's a mixture of men and women. It would have been better for you. And they can be quite firm. Angels they can say to you, well, look, we told you several times, we told you this was not a good idea. But you've made the same mistake over and over again, and it's kind of a bit like getting a cattle prod.
Yeah. True.
It's not the same voltage, I have to say, but it's
Right.
It's a little cattle prod. It's like your mum would give you a tap in the hand. Would you stop that? Just stop it and listen. The angels are very big in us listening. You have 2 ears, one mouth. 2 ears, open both of them, listen. But again, some people don't like coming to me because of that, because a lot of people, when it comes to angel card readings, what I found was they come to be entertained. there's kind of like a thrill element involved, or maybe just a curiosity. Maybe they're just kind of like curious, or maybe they've come to try and debunk it or whatever. I've had one or two of those as well. They're not going to come back to me if they start to be challenged, if that's the only reason why they're there. But I have to say that on one occasion there was somebody that came to me that I suppose is a bit cynical about it, but left kind of comforted, uplifted, had a good idea what they wanted to do. They were the manager in a factory. If I remember right, it was something where there were a lot of workers. I got the impression the way that she was talking, it was a factory, and she was the new boss there. The previous boss hadn't been a very good one, and had been treated people quite badly, and so people's attitudes weren't great. So she was coming in and she was having to start from scratch and trying to, mend bridges and all this kind of thing. So she came away actually with a lot of ideas to help her that she hadn't thought of before. And again, it's the angels help a person to open up, because fear, I'm sure you'd agree, Valeria, fear is a powerful emotion. And angels understand us. They know us to a T. They know how easily frightened that we can be, and they do understand that. And that's sometimes why they are a bit abrupt, is because it's a bit like when somebody dies and you're in front of the coffin and some people start laughing. They're hysterical.
Oh, really? I didn't
know.
Yeah,
you can sometimes, that'll sometimes happen, and somebody beside them will slap them in the face, and it's not to hurt them. It's to jolt them into reality. It's not funny. It's this person's died. You're grieving. You don't laugh when you're grieving. You cry, slap. And what does the person start to do? Cry. So they get in touch with their emotions and how they feel so that they can grieve. The angels are a bit like that as well. They'll kind of give us a little jolt, and it's to help us to become focused so that we're open to the right way of thinking to make the decisions that are going to be beneficial to us. And that's with anything. It can be with our job, it can be with our love life, it can be with friendships, it can be around our health and well-being, that kind of thing. Sometimes they'll use humour as well, because they know the person. I mean, somebody that's suffering from PTSD, they're not going to come in with a hammer. Right. They're going to be very gentle and understanding and that kind of way. It's people that are more kind of like stubborn and, haughty, arrogant, that they can be quite abrupt at times with, and they've done that with me. I mean, it's not, it's not, I mean, I wouldn't particularly call myself, haughty or arrogant, but I can be kind of like lazy, like that example, the angel pulling my ankle. I mean, if an angel come up to me and tap me up on the shoulder, Andrew, it's time to get up now. Don't you think you've been laying in bed long enough? That won't work.
That won't work, right?
Oh, whereas with somebody else it might, but not with me. So I need the angel to come along and pull my ankle.
Yeah, that'll be the way to get your attention, right?
Yeah,
that is so cute.
Yes, and it's also about healing. Healing's a big part of angel coaching as well, because as somebody is healing, then gaining in confidence as well, and they're opening up, and also they start to have the confidence to explore their potential. And it's kind of like a knock-on effect then, isn't it? Then they grow because they have the confidence of exploring their potential. Maybe it's their life purpose. That's a big, big one for people. What is my life purpose? Why am I here? That's a big, big one.
It's interesting from listening to you about your work and the coaching, the angel coaching sessions and work you do. It kind of makes me think about exactly that word. It's like healing the inner and the outer world.
Absolutely.
They're healing everything.
Yeah.
That's the work. How wonderful. I love that. Do you believe in unconditional self-love?
Yes, I would. It can be, your interpretation could maybe differ from what other people think. But yes, I would literally For me, unconditional self-love would be basically what the first thing we learn as nurses is to do no harm. And that's the same with ourselves, to do no harm to ourselves. And if we're not doing harm, then life, supernature, whatever, abhors a vacuum. So if you're not doing yourself harm, you're doing yourself good.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And that's the way that I would view it. And it's to be gentle with ourselves, not to be judging ourselves. And I think we kind of know, I mean, I certainly know when I'm not practicing that healthy self-love because I'm arguing in my own head.
Yeah. Yeah. If we don't have that care for ourselves, then it's challenging to be the same way with others, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think at the same time, we're also left with that Achilles heel as well, because mine would be around food, and like I would tend to be overweight. What do you call it? And to me, it's to keep me humble. What do you call it? Don't get me wrong, I'm healthy enough, but I think we're always left with some kind of weakness or some kind of area to remind us, hello, buddy, you still need God, you still need angels in your life, you still need help from other people, you're not self-sufficient. So I always think whether it's something physical or something more interior, but we're always, I think, left with something that keeps us humble.
What an interesting observation. Yes, I agree.
And that might interfere with a healthy self-love as well. It might be a challenge.
Yeah, that's true, because we're trying to be loving in all areas, and that it's not possible in a way, because we need to be open to the humanness, right?
Yes.
The humanity in us. If you knew you would die soon, meaning losing the body, would you make any changes in your life or do anything differently?
Well, I wouldn't need to do the lotto.
That's cute.
I don't think I would. I think I would just be grateful. I would just be thankful, and I would just ask God and the angels to take care of those I leave behind. If there's anybody that was dependent on me, making plans for them, that kind of thing. But I wouldn't rush out to the medicine man and say, I don't want to die.
Yeah, all right.
I'm quite open to passing on, and whenever that is, I don't know. But, just embrace it. It's another part of living. It's not dying, really. It's another part of living.
Oh, I love that too. It's just another part of loving. Loving life, loving the experience, right?
Yeah.
As a whole, not just parts of it. How wonderful. Yeah. What are 3 things about life you know for sure as of today?
As of today, life is, I don't need to be wealthy because I already am. Life is just the fact of being alive and enjoying life is wealth in itself. I think being at peace, just accepting life as it comes along. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, I'm not going to make any effort or do anything or whatever. I'm just talking about, things that life might throw at me. It's just to have a spirit of acceptance. And I think a spirit of love and forgiveness, because I'd like to think that when I leave here, that I wouldn't have any resentments or grudges or anything like that. That I would just as loving myself unconditionally, please God, I would be doing my best to love others unconditionally too. So that's the way God loves. That's the way the angels love.
Magical conversation.
Very much
and
so.
Healing, very much.
Yeah.
I love your presence, genuine and fun, and your deep and profound wisdom. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Valeria.
Thank you. Where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
Yeah, it's www.andymarmion.com.
Wonderful. So the best way to find you would be the website or the Facebook group?
Well, to contact me would be better through the group, because I do sometimes forget to look at the website. But certainly if they do contact me on the website, I'll get their email. Yeah, if they do it that way, and then obviously if they buy something in the store or whatever, something will come into my, the receipts or whatever they call it, will come into the email as well.
Right. So wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much again. And we'll talk soon, Andrew.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Andy Marmion and his work, please visit wisewriting.org.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. I want to thank the Patreon members, Lawrence McGrath, Mark Basden, Terry Clayton, and Aidan Vickrock. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.